Hello there. How are you all doing? It is me, Hazer, and I'm havering. I'm havering today about something. I thought about doing this video a little while ago because I don't know, but I keep seeing comments about it, and I feel like it's something that I have opinions on, something that I have thoughts on, something that I maybe have more info on than the most viewers. So I guess time to talk about it, and it's going to be the Smite Friends League. There's, I don't know, you've probably heard this sentiment, but generally I think that there's a certain belief out there that people get into the Pro League because they're known or because they're friends with the people in the Pro League rather than because of being the most suitable people to pick up the roles that open up, right? So the most recent example, Baskin, I saw a fair few comments about it, Smite Friends League, etc., because he was the one who was accepted and picked up for the role. We know that the Bolts offered the role to Hardcore and Deathwalker. Outside of that, it's the only two that I've heard of, and both turned it down, and then they went to Baskin. So, yeah, I personally, I'm not on the side that the Smite Friends League is a thing and is a problem and is, stopping the league having the best quality of players or anything like that. I don't think it's the case. And I guess this is kind of like why. I think when you're looking to pick up a player, you have to consider how long it's going to take them to get up to speed in that. So there's going to be a preference to players who have kind of proven they can already do it, and proven they can step up into the league. There is a pretty big step up between SCC and SPL. It really is quite different. There's like a very different practice schedule. There's LAN experience comes into it. And another thing is like these players like Baskin. So in the case of Baskin, he's a known quantity, right? These players, Barra and Van, have teamed with him before. You know what you're getting when you sign him up in terms of like attitude, maturity, practice ethics, things like that. You know what you're getting when you sign someone like this up, which is why you might prefer someone you know over someone you don't. In terms of when roster change happened as well, like this one for Baskin, there's like a short period of time to onboard a player and to ramp up for Worlds. Like they've got what, 5 months to become a World Championship winning team. That's how long they've got. They don't have time to teach someone new the game. It's got to be somebody who knows it. Sticking on the Baskin example for just now, I guess, like, who were the alternatives? Who else could the Bolts have gone for? There's Deathwalker, obviously, who was asked, said no. Also used to be in the SPL anyway, so I don't know if people would have said Friends League if he got in. Probably not, because he's proven his worth recently, whereas Baskin obviously hasn't played comp in the last year. Or did he play towards the end of last year? Maybe it's like 6 months or something. Anyway, he's not played in a bit. Ducky's another one who maybe people could have considered. He's historically been a bottom tier SPL player. He's been on like the 8th place teams. And I think he's been like, an 8th place solo laner, maybe playing in a stacked role. But yeah, I don't think he's, I don't think you're picking up Ducky and saying we're going to win Worlds. He just failed to qualify into the league. Relentless One's another one who they maybe could have considered. As far as I'm aware, doesn't want to join the league. I think he's studying, maybe, and not doing especially well in SCC anyway. The best team in NA SCC was, what do they call that? Eldritch Hounds. And they just kicked their solo laner, Ramakami, for Ducky. So you can see, I mean, if this guy's finishing on the top team and getting removed for Ducky, he's probably not ready for SPL. And I don't think many other like SCC solo laners or anything like that stand out. In EU, there's maybe a couple, like maybe you could consider someone like Kona or something like that, but I don't know. It's also difficult in terms of visas for EU players also right now. It's really hard to make a mid-season. I think it's really hard to make a mid-season roster change and pick up an EU player just because, I mean, we saw even recently Big Man who's already had a visa got stuck back in the UK for a little bit. It took him like a bit over a month, I think, to get a visa extension. So yeah, it's difficult. A question for me is like, where does this Friends League like narrative come from? Like, who's saying this, and why does it always come up so much, and why, like, where is it coming from? And I don't know if I'm being overly, I don't know. What I think is it's probably a few streamers. I don't know this for sure, but I would imagine there's some streamers who people watch who say this stuff, Friends League, etc., and it gets kind of perpetuated. Probably streamers who are maybe upset that they don't get a spot in the league and they can't get on these top teams. And yeah, and then I think there's like a certain amount of confirmation bias. People don't really like think about things when they're saying, they're like, yeah, that guy was friends with them and then he's back in. But you're like, who should they have got instead of Baskin is my question to you. Friends League believers, like, who do they go for that's going to give them a better chance of winning things than Baskin? I don't think there's anybody off the top of my head anyway. And like, I think people underestimate the level of the step up as well. Like, you look at the Valks, right? They dominated in the NASEC, and then they dominated in the play-ins. They were leagues above. Did they dominate in the SEC? That's probably not true. They did well in the NASEC, especially towards the end. And then they were leagues above the other teams in the play-in tournament, right? You had like maybe that team with like Joshi and Magic Feet and stuff like almost contested them, like the Snoopy Hurry team, not that great. And yeah, I don't know. I think there were leagues above the other teams in the SPL qualifier at the start of the year, and you look how long it took them to get up to speed and to really compete in the SPL. It took them half a year, you know? It was just before phase 2 playoffs that they really started to come into a groove and started to be able to look like they can beat teams. The whole rest of the year, they were just miles behind. So, I mean, it's a really big step up, and it takes a lot of adjustment to get to where you need to be. I also think that like the makeup of the SCC doesn't help with talent scouting. There's so many players in the SCC who don't want to move, or are players who have previously been in the SPL. And, you know, I think, yeah, the makeup of the SCC doesn't help in terms of bringing new blood into the SPL, because the players who dominate the SCC, for the most part, are ex-SPL players. I mean, you look at the team that did the best at Phase 2 playoffs, and it was a team which featured Deathwalker, Zeros, and Johnny, who have all been SPL before. Trix is normally on that roster, wasn't there? Rotman filled in, and then you had Echrome, who's like the new blood in the ADC role, not solo, so would have been considered for this role. But yeah, and then in NA, you've got players like Sino playing and doing well. You've got Gino, Relentless One, Moswall, Snoopy, Heroin, like all these guys who do well in the NASCC and the EU SEC, who aren't looking for the spot or aren't looking to push and compete. Makes it really difficult, I think, to pick up new blood. And I think that even the new blood who are in the SEC, it's hard for them to be as keen and eager to compete in the SPL now, because I think the league is run badly. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you, like, I hope you're not wondering what my opinion on the Sharks tweet is. Sharks tweet was fucking stupid, man. That's just a terrible take. Such a, like, victim blaming-y take, you know? Oh, you didn't get paid? Maybe you shouldn't have played Smite for money. No, like, people deserve to get paid for if they're promised money, they should get it in a reasonable time scale, and they should know when they're getting it. So yeah, that was a bad tweet. Total aside. But yeah, I think the SEC being run poorly might discourage some people from moving up and competing, which makes it harder to find new blood coming into the SPL. But yeah, I think it can happen, though. To be clear, like, the move through into the SPL, there are routes for it, and the players who work hard and who want it can get it, I think. I think the players who really, really want it, I mean, Genetics is a great example of someone who grinded the game. You know, he finished uni, he was playing Smite all through that time, he played in the SCC, he played well, he streamed, he kept grinding, he yeah, he worked hard and he made it to the SPL, and there's like a reason for that. There's other players as well. Stewart, Pagon, Haddix, good examples of players who came up. The Valkyries have come through the SEC and qualified into the SPL. You know, like obviously Aqua and Wowie had been there before, but I don't think they were getting picked back up anytime soon without playing their way back in. And then I guess like there's also examples of ranked players making it a little bit, like Jake. Jake made it without playing too much comp, but that's a big risk to take. And at the time, people thought that what were they called at the time? Were they the Renegades? Were they the Renegades when they picked them up? Anyway, they thought that team was crazy for doing that, but it worked out in the end. But yeah, it's a massive risk, and it takes a lot of ramping up for players to be ready to compete. So yeah, Friends League, I think it's mostly bullshit. You know, there's a certain thing there of knowing what you're getting with somebody because you know them, because they've been there before, because they've done it before. You can be confident in what you're getting. It's a known quantity. And in the case of Baskin, you're like, okay, we're getting a player who has the potential to be a top solo laner in the world. Whether he'll come straight in and do that, I mean, I don't think he will. I think he'll come in and be like a lower half solo laner to start it off, but we'll see. You never know. You know, you can always be surprised. I don't think he's going to come in and stink it up, though. That's the thing I would say. I don't think he's going to come in and feed his brains out. I think he'll do fine. But yeah, I don't know. That was Havering. I havered. I had some notes for this one. Let me know what you think. Let me know, like, especially if you believe in the Friends League, and chat, the comments, YouTube comments. Try not to like abuse anybody with you know, a different viewpoint than me and from you and from anyone. Okay, let's try and just be calm and be like normal, responsible adults here. Just chat about things, even though we're in a YouTube comment section. I know it's hard, but let's do our best. But yeah, that's it from me. I hope you're having a great week. I've havered for long enough, I think, for Smite Friends League. I think it's fine. I think everything's fine. Baskin pickup, good pickup. Probably the best that they could have done outside of, Deathwalker and Hardcore. But yeah, I'm going now. Goodbye.